So, this is, I wanted to get this out. Don't know if anybody else has seen this so far. This came out at 2 a.m. Eastern. Apple removes Alex Jones and InfoWars podcast from iTunes. First up, Apple has removed Alex Jones and InfoWars podcast from its iTunes and podcast app. BuzzFeed reported Sunday night. Jones, a conservative radio host, he's not a conservative. He was against Bush. I think he was more of, back then he was more of a independent. But Trump isn't Republican. But conservative radio host and conspiracy theorist has called not going to talk about that, is being sued by the parents. Let's see. Apple's move comes on the heels of actions taken by other sites to rein in Jones. Last week, Spotify removed some of Jones' InfoWar podcast, saying that they condemn hate speech. Last month, Facebook suspended Jones from posting on social media on the social media website for 30 days, citing violation of its policy. And YouTube recently took down 4 videos from Jones' channel, saying they violated its policy on hate speech and child endangerment. Apple's decision to remove all of Alex Jones' podcasts is the broadest action taken against him online. Reaction to the news ran from one extreme to the other. The deep state is scared of what Alex Jones might break, and they own the corporate media and social media platforms lock, stock, and barrel. They've already deleted countless channels and are just upping the game. Soon it will be you. Kind of agree. Honestly, I don't know if this is bad or good. It's bad because it creates a new era of censorship and control of the mind through the internet. It's good because Alex Jones poisons the public mind with his trash perspective on the world, his Christian intolerance of others. It's about freaking time, basically. Apple removes, that's all you're doing. So, there was that, and bring one over. Phil, come over. It's going so slow. Trump admits son met with Russia for information on opponent. Why is this came out a long time ago. But it's from the BBC. On Sunday, U.S. media included the Washington Post, CNN, and AP reported that Mr. Trump was worried Donald Trump Jr. could be in legal trouble because of the 9 June 2016 meeting in New York. They cited multiple unnamed sources. Mr. Trump tweeted, "Fake news reporting, a complete fabrication that I am concerned about the meeting my wonderful son, Donald had in Trump Tower." What does the tweet mean? Mr. Trump's latest tweet appears to a previous statement from the Trump camp. When the meeting was first reported by the New York Times, Donald Trump Jr. said in a statement he and Mrs. had mostly discussed a suspended program for Americans to adopt Russian children. However, he subsequently admitted he had agreed to the meeting after being told he would be offered information that would prove she made a dossier. This is what it's about? Okay. Guess I don't understand people. Oh, and here's another thing. Talk about going mainstream, y'all. Here it is. JFK Jr. didn't die. He runs, and he's #1 fan. So, August 5th, 1:37 p.m. Now that everyone knows about QAnon, now that a certain national newspaper has published at least a dozen articles about it in the span of 4 days, we need to ask why not. Who's writing this? Washington Post. We need to ask why not everyone is convinced the conspiracy theory is true. Maybe it's because QAnon is too true. What? Like there's just too much truth crammed into a single conspiracy theory alleging that President Trump is secretly waging war on an evil cabal of liberals who rigged the election and ran the CIA and abducted and hid all the UFOs and killed Princess Diana, did Hurricane Katrina, and invented vampire. and they have the guide, or they have the map. It's a lot even for those who have spent months following the writings of Q, the anonymous insider who late last year. Need some music. Late last year began to reveal the outlines of supposed global cabal and Trump's supposedly secret plan to dismantle it. For millions of people who learned about QAnon last week, when seemingly every news outlet on the planet started to cover it, it can be downright overwhelming. No wonder people are skeptical. We are here to help, rather than try to prove the entire theory. We will simply examine one component claim and the evidence for it. As an example of research and robust body of evidence, believers say support all of QAnon that claim is. Then they go to this. That's bad. JFK Jr. faked his death and joined Trump's secret evil fighting organization where he writes 4chan posts under the pseudonym Q. We thank the Daily Beast for alerting us to the truth bomb above, which is a relative new one in the QAnon. Our analysts follow the liberals killed President Kennedy. Even since his first anonymous forum post in late October, Q has made it clear that only 3 U.S. presidents in modern history are not part of the evil cabal. All of them were in great danger because of it. The fix has always been in. Q wrote in December, no matter which party won the election, JFK or Reagan. Of course, Q was not the first person to see a conspiracy behind Kennedy's assassination in 1963 in Dallas. A lot of stuff happens in Texas. But in February post, Q revealed that Trump and his allies recited a daily prayer to JFK in the Oval Office. Rest in peace, Mr. President, it goes. Since your tragic death, patriots have planned, installed, and by the grace of God, activated the beam of light. How QAnon, the conspiracy swarmed by Trump. So it's big and scary. The beam of light refers to secret organization to which Trump and Q belong, which formed in the aftermath of Kennedy's assassination. Okay, which Kennedy are they talking about? How old was Trump when JFK died? It is now finally strong enough to begin dismantling the cabal. Q claimed to be a high-level intelligence office official within the organization, and obviously he must be. And how would he know about Trump's secret prayer? Then JFK Jr. was killed to make way for Hillary Clinton's political career. According to mainstream media, which is, of course, part of the cabal, JFK's son died in a private plane. Another song. Where's another one? That's not good. AI. Wait, where is it? Okay. It turned up just a bit. There we go. Let's see. Son died in a private crash after 36 years after his father's assassination. A tragic accident with no political coincidence whatsoever. Unlike many in his extended family, JFK Jr. never ran for public office. After a year-long investigation, the federal government concluded that he had lost control of his plane while flying his wife and his sister-in-law and his pregnant wife. It was his pregnant wife over the Atlantic Ocean on a hazy 1999 night. There is a lot of stuff that's a little weird about that. It's kind of like, let's see, that September day. They only showed stuff once, and they didn't replay it when they were talking about it on other stations. Such was the official story, which Q blew out of the water with a 15-word truth. POTUS JFK Jr. relationship plane crash in 1999. HRC Senate 2000. The start. Enjoy the show. By the way, wasn't it like right after this or right before that Trump went up in the was supposed to go up in the helicopter and all of his CEOs from all his companies died in a plane crash or a helicopter crash, and that's what kind of sunk him on the the Taj Mahal or whatever he has in Atlantic City. That's what basically bankrupted him. Q followed up with a link to a 1956 memo he had found on the CIA public website, which everything is public that they've released, by the way. Maybe you haven't seen it before, but everything is released. Has been released. Which the untrained eye appears to have nothing to do with the Kennedys, but which contains the words guided missiles and therefore raised the possibility that the CIA blew up JFK Jr.'s plane with guided missiles. These scat clues were all Q's army of amateur researchers needed to fill the blank. Within hours of the post, they discovered JFK Jr. had once been photographed with Trump. Therefore, they reasoned the two men were probably close allies. I think they were. I mean, they didn't call it George, right? Q very deliberately noted that Hillary Clinton launched her political career with a U.S. Senate run the year after the plane crash, and while JFK Jr. was not a political, he was going to get in. I do know that from just some of the stuff that I've read. And this was before all of this crap. This is like, I think it was like 2 years ago on one of those like weird stations that do like documentaries on Dish. I don't know if it's on everything else. It's like Reels or something like that. So, grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt. Once thought about running for Senate and therefore Clinton's associate. Yeah. And the cabal might have thought it. Anyways, the QAnon scholars couldn't disprove the possibility, and neither can you. And the opposite of disproof is proof. So, yeah, that's not proof. Never has been. QAnon believers have it saying, we believe they coined it. Follow the white rabbit. No, it was he wasn't even called Q before then. Oh. To be sure, not even Q has dared claim so in public. But as the Daily Beast wrote, The cryptic author went silent for several weeks in July. During Q's absence, another mystery prophet named R. R is the letter in the alphabet after Q. The Beast explains. Began to post on the same forum claiming that JFK Jr. faked the plane crash and then began. Okay, so JFK Jr. faked his plane crash. What the hell does that mean? Y'all were saying earlier that it was because of Clinton. Clinton tried to hit it. I know this is disproved already, but this is the first time I've looked at it since I heard it. I thought it was just ridiculous. Began to post on the same forum, secretly working to put Trump in the White House and destroy the Clinton Illuminati vampire cabal. Gosh, that sounds like it came right out of Alex's mouth. In which case, not only is JFK Jr. a key player in the QAnon's conspiracy, he is Trump's secret 4chan spokesman. Q himself. This is admittedly an advanced theory. It's so advanced that it took a popular QAnon researcher an hour and a half to explain it in a way that made any sense. We assume we didn't get to the end of the video. Fortunately, Q scholars have turned up. JFK Jr.'s grave looks like a Q. It does look like a Q. Is that really his gravesite? In the 9-month history of Q Post, these last revelations have been among the most incredible. Some wept, some wept when they learned of them. Certain minor complications later cropped up, including Q returned from the hiatus and denounced R. Also, that is not actually a picture of but these are mere thorns in the white rabbit's paw. We can all see the general gist of the truth. Wow, JFK Jr. at a Trump rally is some tabloid trash conspiracy theory. It claims are impeccably sourced, research and rigorous testing. Thus, as the theory of Q is Kennedy Jr. became popular on the forums, the QAnoners began to search for evidence, and they soon found it in footage from Trump's rally. A certain middle-aged man, roughly the same age that JFK Jr. would be if he were alive, kept showing up in the crowd, often seated close behind Trump at rally after rally. The man was unshaved, had an entirely different facial feature than Kennedy. The similarities did not exactly leap out to the casual observer, but as Yig Wilson put it on his news and analyst website, the Yig well, of course it wouldn't. That would sort of defeat the whole purpose of their secret that they are alive and well. It really isn't all that hard to add age to a person, or a bigger nose, or any number of things really. This one should fall under the common sense category. What in the hell is this? Did Jordan Sather do this again? Did he make these posts? This Gloria, whatever PewDiePie uses. Let's see. Let's see, right here. The research hit another apparent stumble block when the man at the rallies was identified as a fan from Pennsylvania who had been following the president around in a Trump mobile, which is not necessarily the behavior one would expect from a high-level operative in a top-secret counter-conspiracy conspiracy who had been one of the most famous people in the world, in the country, before he faked his own death. But we're now at the bottom of the rabbit hole, and conventional logic might no longer apply. Just to be sure, the Washington Post contacted and asked whether he was JFK Jr. Sounded confused by the question. I've been to a lot of rallies, he said. We asked whether he was aware of the QAnon theory. He said he was only vaguely so. So we emailed Fusion a link to one of the YouTube videos that claimed he is living. To get back to us with his thoughts. That is crazy, guys. Okay. Then I wanted to pull this up. Indonesia, 91 are dead from the earthquake, leaves 20,000 people homeless. This is sad. Earthquake on Sunday, which struck at 6:46 p.m. local time, was followed by more than a dozen aftershocks, including one Monday morning that registered a magnitude of 5.4. People were allowed to return home since last night, but some refused because they were still traumatized. Search and rescue teams continue to comb through the debris of thousands of buildings and homes, looking for survivors and victims as the government dispatched medical support teams to the island. Around 700 foreigners and Indonesian tourists were being evacuated on ship on Monday from the island. A collection of three tiny islands that are popular for diving and snorkeling and lie just off the northwest coast. 200 tourists had already been taken to the mainland by Monday morning. This is so sad. So, it was the second deadly earthquake in a week to strike, which lies just to the east of Bala. In early hours of July 29th, a magnitude 6.4 earthquake struck in the same region of the island, killing 17 and injuring more than 160. Where's the other stuff? Thought this was kind of interesting. So, Stan Lee no longer performing public autograph signings. And if you don't know what's going on with Stan Lee, a lot of crazy stuff. I'll read this though. Famed Marvel comic writer Stan Lee will no longer participate in public autograph signings. Desert Wind Comics, who host signing events with Lee, say in their event schedule fans hoping to have comic books or merchandise autographed by Lee can submit their material through the mail until August 18th. As many of you know, Stan Lee has been getting older, and as such, signing opportunities are getting more rare, and getting books signed that are eligible for the CGC Signature Series grading is becoming more difficult. The exact date and location of this signing will not be announced for security reasons. So we are simply to announce accepting books early, and will announce books up to the deadline. So submit early so you don't get caught by surprise and miss the signing. The price to get a modern tier book signed and graded is $180. That price includes grading of the modern tier book, our witnessing and handling fee, and Stan Lee signing fee. Non-graded comic books or raw items like posters and toys are priced at $160 and depends on the size and value. To be clear, Stan is 100% not doing any conventions, public signings. In the last few years, his well-being has been compromised by people for monetary gain, and that practice is over. His private signings had also been paused for a month while Stan's life gets back to normal and time could be given to review signing deals made by previous people involved in Stan's life. Lee is signing a very small amount of items per week as his discretion. Some for Desert Wind. Explained Lee was formerly tasked with signing hundreds, sometimes thousands of books per day. My concern for Stan's health, wishes so he signs what he wants when he wants, which is as it always should be. The Spider-Man and Adventure co-creator inspired concern from fans after video surfaced from an April convention appearance showing a fragile Lee struggling to pin multiple autographs in a quick succession. Lee's former business manager, who has since been fired and issued multiple restraining orders, can be seen in the video instructing the comic book creator how to spell his own name. Lee remains active on his official Twitter account, where he regularly interacts with his true believers through tweets and videos. Let's see what else I got. I think that's it, but thought I would put that out. I'll put in at the front, of course, it's going to be Jones stuff, but if you get through it, a lot of interesting stuff. This is another part. I've been having trouble actually loading everything lately, so I actually had a video that I did earlier, but it was an FLV and it screwed up on me. Oh, this is a big story too. 6 arrests in failed plot to assassinate Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro. Authorities detained 6 people suspected of using explosive-lighted drones in a failed bid to assassinate Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro. Officials said Sunday. This is crazy. On Sunday described it as a terrorist attack and said more arrests could follow within hours. Investigators have raided hotels and seized vehicles for details in the plot. Venezuela socialist government alleged Sunday that the detained suspects conspired with others in Miami, the capital of the neighboring Colombia, though they offered no specific evidence. Opposing leaders criticized Maduro for broadly singling out his political opponents. They warned they might use the attack to further suppress his critics. The attack comes as Venezuela is reeling from the worst economic and humanity crisis, and Maduro has grown increasingly isolated. Foreign nations, including the U.S., are slapping, this is ridiculous, they want their oil, have the most oil in the world, under them. Russia has been boosting them since they had their little recession. By the way, don't eat the crab that's coming from there. Supposedly it's bad, but it's really weird that he didn't give that to his own citizens. Very interesting. Maduro and his allies called the attack direct proof that an international plot to overthrow his socialist administration exists, while also saying that the military response shows he still has loyalty of Venezuela's soldiers. But analysts said the image broadcast live on television when the attack struck during Maduro's speech Saturday evening made him appear vulnerable. Seeing trained soldiers fleeing in apparent panic and disarray before an explosion strongly in control and loyalty of secret forces that Maduro prides himself on. The New York-based capital investment firm. The assailants flew 2 drones, each packed with 2.2 of C4 plastic explosive towards Maduro, his wife, and other top leaders as he spoke Saturday. They have tried to kill him like 7-8 times already. But the military managed to knock one of the drones off course electronically. By the way, if they would have got him, Russia would have been there in 20 minutes. And they would have been taken over. And Colombia would have been screwed. But guess who else is also there? China. China is there. So if he does show up dead somehow, it's going to be China and Russia down there. And we're in Colombia. The U.S. is in Colombia. Send $500 million down to Colombia each year. They sent about 7 to Venezuela. This is the lowest amount of money that goes anywhere in that region. We have 6 terrorist assassins detained. In the next hours, there could be more arrests. Of those arrests, said 2 had previous run-ins with the government, although he did not give their names or say what charges they face. One took part in the 2014 protest that rocked the nation as it. This is so crazy. And there's the picture. I know Marfugal News had it earlier, I think yesterday, but people need to learn about this. It's the same type of crap that goes on every time. And it's sad. This was an attempt to kill me. Maduro said the far right working, and by the way, the far right and the left is switched down there. So he's considered the left, which is a Republican. The far right, or the right, is liberal. The only reason I know that is from Florida Marquis and all the evidence that he's shown over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. A little-known group called itself Soldiers in T-Shirts claimed responsibility for the attack, saying it planned to fly 2 drones loaded with explosives at the president, but soldiers shot them down. The authenticity, I can't say it, of the message could not be independently verified, and the organization did not respond to a message from the AP. It was not successful today, but it is just a matter of time, the group said in a tweet. They're tweeting? Let's see. Okay, more stuff. Venezuela government routinely accuses opposition activists of plotting to attack and overthrow Maduro. The former bus driver, socialist, former bus driver, socialist bus driver. Does it sound like a socialist? The former bus driver has moved steadily to consolidate power as the nation struggles to reverse hyperinflation that the International Monetary Fund projects could top 1,000,000% by year's end. This is a long. And what does everybody say? You don't read the first half for one reason. That's where I think they have a study on how far average people read into a column, and everything's usually in the middle or close to the end. That's more truthful, and they put everything that's like propaganda up top. So we're going to bet for it. We're going to bet for the good of the country, and Maduro declared moments before the explosion. The hour of the economy recovery has come, and it will. It really will. But thought I would put this out and see. I might have more stuff. Actually, I'm gonna go look up more stuff on this because I know a little bit about it just from watching Florida Marquee, and he's got me really interested in this. And also, it's something we need to be interested in for one reason. We might get into 2 wars, and one might be right here on our back door. And Mexico would have their side. So, peace, stay positive, and learn some things. People, please.